A crucible of conflict, the Ukraine war in the 21st century. The 21st century has witnessed its share of conflicts, but few have been as globally significant as the war in Ukraine. This conflict, a tragedy for all involved, has become a focal point of geopolitical tensions, raising critical questions about the role of the United States in the events leading up to the conflict and its aftermath. While assigning blame for such a complex situation is rarely straightforward, understanding the various factors at play, including U.S. actions, is crucial. This video aims to delve into the multifaceted aspects of the Ukraine war, exploring the alleged role of the U.S., the potential for profit by U.S. defense companies, and the intricate web of geopolitical factors that have contributed to the current crisis. The Ukraine war is not merely a regional conflict. It has reverberated across the globe, impacting everything from energy prices to global food security. Understanding the origins and consequences of this conflict is paramount for anyone seeking to comprehend the current state of international relations. This analysis will explore the historical context of the conflict, focusing on the expansion of NATO and its potential role in exacerbating tensions between Russia and the West. It will also examine the U.S.'s role in the 2014 Ukrainian Revolution, and how this event further strained relations between the U.S. and Russia, setting the stage for the current conflict. Furthermore, this essay will address the controversial yet crucial topic of the U.S. defense industry's potential to profit from the war in Ukraine. With companies like Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, and Boeing witnessing increased demand for their products, questions arise about the extent to which economic incentives may influence U.S. foreign policy decisions. While it is important to avoid simplistic narratives that reduce complex geopolitical situations to single-factor explanations, it is equally crucial to examine the role of powerful actors and their potential motivations. Finally, this video will address counterarguments that attribute the war solely to Russian aggression, providing a more balanced perspective on the conflict. By examining evidence from various sources and considering different viewpoints, this analysis aims to foster a nuanced understanding of the Ukraine war and its implications for the future of international relations. A wall in the east, NATO expansion and Russian apprehensions. The North Atlantic Treaty Organization, formed in 1949 as a military alliance against the Soviet Union, has been a subject of much debate, particularly regarding its eastward expansion after the Cold War. While proponents argue that NATO expansion promotes democracy and stability in Europe, critics contend that it has antagonized Russia, contributing to the current crisis in Ukraine. To understand the current conflict, it is essential to examine the historical context of NATO expansion and its impact on Russia's perception of its security environment. Following the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991, NATO embarked on a path of eastward expansion, incorporating former Soviet satellite states into the alliance. This expansion, while welcomed by many of the newly independent nations in Eastern Europe, was met with apprehension by Russia, which viewed it as a betrayal of Western promises and a direct threat to its security interests. The inclusion of countries like Poland, Hungary, and the Czech Republic into NATO in 1999 marked a significant shift in the European security architecture, bringing NATO closer to Russia's borders and raising concerns in Moscow about the alliance's intentions. Despite Russian protests, NATO continued its eastward expansion in the 2000s, incorporating more countries from the former Soviet bloc, including the Baltic states of Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia. This move further heightened tensions with Russia, which perceived the expansion as an encroachment upon its sphere of influence and a direct challenge to its security interests. The 2008 NATO summit in Bucharest, where Ukraine and Georgia were promised eventual membership in the alliance, proved to be a turning point in relations between Russia and the West. This decision, while not immediately granting membership, solidified Russia's perception of NATO as a hostile force encroaching upon its borders and fueled the already existing tensions between the two sides. The annexation of Crimea by Russia in 2014 and the ongoing conflict in eastern Ukraine can be seen as direct consequences of the heightened tensions brought about by NATO expansion. While Russia's actions are a clear violation of international law and cannot be condoned, it is crucial to understand the historical context and the role that NATO expansion played in creating the conditions for this conflict to erupt. By dismissing Russia's security concerns and continuously expanding NATO eastward, the West, particularly the United States, may have inadvertently contributed to the current crisis in Ukraine. So let's dive into the concept of the deep state and its influence on US foreign policy. You see, some people believe that behind the scenes, a group of influential individuals and institutions shape the direction of the country's international relations. It's a topic that sparks a lot of debate, and, honestly, it's a bit controversial. But, understanding this perspective can give us a deeper insight into the complexities of global politics. So let's unpack this idea further. While some argue that the United States holds significant responsibility for the conflict, others present a different perspective. They highlight the complex web of historical, political, and regional factors that have contributed to the situation. It's essential to consider these multifaceted viewpoints to gain a comprehensive understanding of the conflict's origins. In today's digital age, disinformation and propaganda have become powerful tools of warfare. Social media platforms and online news sources can spread false narratives quickly, influencing public opinion and international relations. It's crucial to critically evaluate the information we consume and seek out reliable sources to navigate through the noise. The war in Ukraine has far-reaching global implications. It has strained international alliances, impacted global markets, and heightened geopolitical tensions. Countries around the world are watching closely, as the outcomes of this conflict could reshape the global order and influence future diplomatic strategies. Navigating the complexities of the Ukraine conflict requires a nuanced approach. Understanding the historical context, recognizing the role of various international actors, and acknowledging the human cost are all critical components. As we move forward, it's important to strive for informed dialogue and meaningful solutions to foster peace and stability in the region.